You're sitting in a laboratory. A man in a white coat stands beside you. In front of you, a button. Press it and someone in the next room receives an electric shock. You hear their screams. The man in the coat says, "Continue." So you do, again and again, until the screaming stops. Would you do it? Before you answer, 65% already have. 1961, Yale University. Stanley Milgram wanted to answer one question. Could the Holocaust happen again? Could ordinary people commit atrocities simply because someone told them to? The world had just watched the Nuremberg trials. Nazi officers claimed they were just following orders. Everyone dismissed it as an excuse, a convenient lie. But Milgram wondered, what if it wasn't? He designed an experiment. Participants thought they were testing memory and learning. Their job? Punish a learner for wrong answers with electric shocks. 15 volts, 30, 75. With each mistake, the voltage increased. 150 volts, the learner screams in pain. "Please let me out. My heart's bothering me." 210 volts, desperate pounding on the wall. 300 volts, silence. No response at all. But here's the thing. There was no learner, no shocks. It was all an act. The real experiment? To see how far people would go when an authority figure, wearing a lab coat, holding a clipboard, said the experiment requires that you continue. How many would obey? Milgram expected 1 or 2%, maybe the sadists, the broken ones. He was wrong. 65% went all the way. 450 volts, lethal dosage. These weren't monsters. They were teachers, engineers, salesmen, postal workers, people like you, people like me. So why did they do it? Why do we obey even when everything inside us screams to stop? The first reason is authority bias. When someone appears legitimate, uniform, title, institution, we defer. We assume they know better. We assume they'll take responsibility, and so we obey. Even when every fiber of our being says stop, it's not stupidity, it's wiring. From the moment we're born, survival depends on obeying authority figures. Parents, teachers, doctors, bosses. Our brains develop shortcuts that say, this person has authority, therefore I should listen. Most of the time this serves us well, but sometimes it betrays us. In Milgram's experiment, the lab coat was enough. Yale University was enough. The clipboard, the official tone, the scientific setting, all of it signaled legitimate authority. And once that signal is received, our critical thinking takes a backseat. Then there's social conditioning. From childhood, we're taught, follow the rules, respect authority, don't make waves. Teachers praise compliance. Parents reward obedience. Society punishes troublemakers. Obedience becomes automatic, a reflex. By the time we're adults, we've internalized these lessons so deeply that we don't even recognize them as conditioning. We just feel that defying authority is wrong, not intellectually, but viscerally. It triggers anxiety, guilt, shame. So we comply even when compliance means harm. And underneath it all, fear. Fear of confrontation, of judgment, of standing out. The subjects in Milgram's experiment felt it. They sweated. They trembled. Some laughed nervously, but they didn't stop. Because stopping meant defying the man in the white coat. It meant being difficult, being wrong, being the problem. And we're terrified of that. We'd rather inflict pain on a stranger than endure the discomfort of saying no to authority. Hannah Arendt called it the banality of evil. After watching the trial of Adolf Eichmann, a Nazi officer who orchestrated mass murder, she noticed something chilling. He wasn't a fanatic. He wasn't consumed by hatred. He was ordinary, a bureaucrat. He didn't kill out of ideology. He killed because he was following orders, and he never questioned them. Arendt wrote, The sad truth is that most evil is done by people who never make up their minds to be good or evil. They just comply. They surrender their moral judgment to the system, to the authority, to the man in the white coat. Nietzsche saw it too. He called it herd morality. Most people, he argued, don't think for themselves. They follow the crowd, adopt its values, obey its commands, not because those commands are right, but because everyone else is doing it. Independent thought, dangerous, uncomfortable. It means standing alone, risking rejection. So we suppress it. We tell ourselves, if everyone else thinks this is okay, maybe I'm the one who's wrong. You might think, that was then. We've evolved. We're more aware now. Have we? Look around. In corporate culture, you stay late because your manager does. You agree in meetings even when you disagree. You follow policies that make no sense because that's the system. Authority, compliance, silence. How many people have watched unethical practices at work and said nothing? How many have implemented policies they knew were harmful because their boss told them to? The lab coat has been replaced by the business suit, but the mechanism is the same. In politics, people repeat talking points without questioning them. They vote along party lines, demonize the other side, not because they've thought it through, but because their tribe told them to. The authority isn't a scientist anymore. It's a party, a movement, a charismatic leader. But the obedience is identical. On social media, algorithms tell you what to think, what to buy, who to trust, what to fear. And you scroll, you click, you share. Obedience disguised as choice. You're pressing the button over and over, never asking why. Even cancel culture, it's group enforcement. Step out of line and the crowd turns on you. So you stay quiet, you conform, you obey. Not because you're weak, but because the pressure is overwhelming. The fear of isolation is real. The man in the white coat is gone. But the pressure, it's everywhere, and it's invisible. So how do you know when you're being manipulated? How do you recognize the moment before you press the button? Look for compliance cues. Everyone's doing it. This is just how it's done. You don't want to cause problems, do you? These phrases short-circuit your critical thinking. They appeal to conformity, not logic. They trigger your herd instinct. Watch for appeals to authority without evidence. Trust me, I'm an expert. The data shows, but they won't show you the data. It's policy. Real authority invites questions. False authority demands obedience. And notice the cost of dissent. Are you punished for asking why? For pushing back? For thinking differently? If yes, that's not leadership. That's control. Pay attention to your body. If you feel anxious, trapped, or coerced, but you're not sure why, that's your instinct warning you. The subjects in Milgram's experiment felt it. They just didn't trust it. They trusted the authority more than themselves. Milgram's experiment wasn't about electricity. It was about us, about the distance between who we think we are and who we become under pressure. We want to believe we'd be the ones who stop, who refuse, who walk out. But the data says otherwise. Most of us wouldn't. Not because we're evil, but because we're human. And being human means we're vulnerable to authority, to fear, to the crowd. But here's the thing, awareness changes everything. Once you see the pattern, you can break it. You can ask, why am I doing this? Who benefits from my compliance? What happens if I say no? Freedom doesn't come from never obeying. It comes from choosing when to obey, from distinguishing legitimate guidance from manipulation, from recognizing when authority is being weaponized against your own judgment. The man in the white coat only has power if you give it to him. The button only gets pressed if you decide to press it. And that decision, that moment of choice, belongs to you. So question everything, not out of paranoia, but out of respect. Respect for your own mind, your own conscience, your own capacity to think. because the moment you stop questioning is the moment you start obeying blindly. And blind obedience, as history has shown us again and again, leads to the darkest places humanity can go. Freedom begins when obedience ends, and it begins with you, with the simple, difficult act of saying, "No, I will not press the button. I will not comply. I will think for myself." That's where resistance lives. That's where humanity survives. In the space between the order and the action, in the pause before obedience, in the question, "Should I?" The answer might save more than you realize.